What's up, world? It's your girl, Fizzle, and I'm doing an advice blog today. I had one of my subscribers write me a few weeks ago, and I've been meaning to do this advice blog for her, so I'm going to go ahead and read you guys her letter. She says, "Hello, T. I'm one of your subscribers, and I have watched all of your videos, and I want you to give me some advice." She says she's a grown woman, 21 years old, but her family still thinks that they can tell her who she can and can't be friends with. She says that I am white and 90% of my friends are black. The thing is, my family, my mother and my two brothers, my sister, my dad and my aunts, etc., think that I can't be friends with people of other races. They think that I want to be black, and I feel sorry for them. And it's not true. I just don't judge people by their skin color. If somebody's cool with me, I'm cool with them. I do not bring any of my black friends around my family because I'm scared that my family members will disrespect them or say something about their race. Then she goes on to say that they just say a lot of derogatory things, N-words, things like that. To make matters worse is she's a mother of a 2-year-old child who is biracial. They refuse to claim him as their grandchild. Her brothers and her sister refuse to call her son their nephew. And she's basically at her wit's end. She doesn't know what else to do, so she's asking me for advice. First of all, I want to tell you that I'm really sorry to hear about everything that you're going through. It's 2009, and I think it's kind of ridiculous that your family still has this mentality and still thinks this way of, black people. But again, am I shocked by anything you wrote in the letter? No, because I know a lot of people still probably secretly think this way. They just don't say it. People for some reason thought because Barack Obama became president, then all of a sudden that would get rid of like all the race, all the racial tension and, all the racist people, whatever. And of course it didn't. People are going to have their views. People are going to have their opinions of other races. Does it make it right? No, it doesn't. But, as long as you know what you're doing is right and you don't judge people by their skin tone and you're judging people based on the content of their character, then really all you can do is worry about yourself. Sometimes, like they say, old habits die hard. I mean, as long as you're doing the right thing and you're not being racist and, you're cool with your friends because of who they are and not based on the color of their skin, then, kudos to you. To me, your family has, a lot of issues as far as them dealing with the race thing. It's one thing to be racist, and then it's another thing to totally disclaim your grandchild. And I think your family's wrong for that because your child, one, didn't ask to be here. And just like you couldn't pick your family, your child could not pick his family as well, or pick who he's related to, or pick the fact that he was biracial. I think it's sad that your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters would waste their time not wanting to accept him and bring him into the family just because he's half black. I really think that's sad. Life is too short for that. Anything could happen to anyone at any moment, and for them not to embrace this little boy as their grandchild, I think it's sad. But if they're using racial epithets and they have no respect towards black people and your son is half black, I think it's, in my personal opinion, I think it's best that you keep your child away from the negativity and away from their racial remarks until you guys get everything sorted out. I think, one, you need to talk and express to them how you truly feel about the situation and let them know, the way they're treating your child, the things that they're saying hurts because your child is half black. If you try talking to them and then if at that time you've explained to them how you feel and they're still not willing to change their attitude or their demeanor towards your child, then I feel at that time it's time to cut off the family. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from a situation and you have to take yourself out of the family for people to realize how much they appreciate you. Times as family, we take for granted that the people who are in our lives, we assume that they'll always be in our lives. So sometimes when you remove yourself out the situation, it will make them realize hey, that's my daughter, that's my sister, I really miss her, I want her back in my life. And if they truly want you back in their life, they will change the way that they treat your child, because first and foremost, that's your child, and your job as a parent is to, have your child in the best situation, the best environment, a healthy environment growing up. So if your family is racist and they won't even accept your child, that's not a healthy environment for either you or your child, because one, is causing you stress, and that can grow, that can, it's causing you stress, and that can cause your son to grow with a complex where he has issues, or where he can even start hating his black half because of how the rest of the family feels. So I think you need to separate yourself from your family for the time being. If once you've talked to them, they're not willing to change. If they're not willing to change and accept your child, and you're their daughter and their sister, and they're not willing to change, and sometimes you have to pull yourself out the situation. But in the meantime, I would say make sure that you reinforce to your son, because he is biracial, reinforce the importance of both of his cultures. Not only his white culture, but his black culture. Have him around positive black males. Have him around positive black people. So that way he understands that he is from two different worlds, and that he can get the best of both worlds. He needs to be around his African American family, and he needs to be around his white family. But right now that his white family is tripping, have him around other white people who are not racist, who can show him, part of that culture of him, who can show him that half of him, and let him know that all white people are not racist. Because if he's around your family, he's definitely going to grow up with a complex. So you need to have him around other positive white people, so he can realize that not all white people think this negatively of black people or biracial people. So you need to make sure that you have your son around positive people who love him for who he is, and who can help him embrace both cultures. But I think it's really unfortunate that in 2009 we still have people who still think this way. But I live in the South, so it's definitely not a rarity. I mean, there's interracial dating down here. There's a lot of interracial couples. Habits sometimes just don't die. And sometimes people still hold on to those, to those racial undertones and those racial attitudes. So again, I'm sorry for what you're going through, because you seem real cool. So I just think it's unfortunate that your family's putting you through that. But again, at the end of the day, as a parent, you have to protect your child. You have to have your child around the right people, around positive people, around people who's going to help him grow up and be a good man. And I'm not sure if his father is in his life or not, because you didn't say. But if his father isn't, try and get him around his father's family, or positive black friends that you may have. But I just think, again, that it's sad that your family is putting you through this. But sometimes you have to separate yourself. Sometimes you have to take yourself out of a situation. And again, sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder. I had to move 24 hours away from home before real people in my family realize how much they miss me. Sometimes when we're all in the same city, in the same neighborhood, the same house, we take advantage, and we don't appreciate that person being there. So maybe if you take some time away from your family and away from their racist views, they'll realize, dang, I really miss her. Dang, I really love her. And if we have to accept our grandchild in order to have her back in our life, that's what we'll do. But again, if they're, right now your son is still young, but the thing is with children, they can pick up on negative vibes. They can pick up on vibes when people don't like them. A lot of times children will shy away from people who are mean, who are aggressive. You can tell when somebody truly cares and loves you. Your child is picking up on all these vibes that these people don't too much care for him. So again, me personally, I would be wary of bringing my child in that environment. I just don't think it's right. Because you just never know. Sometimes people get so upset about situations, not saying that your family would do this, but you just never know. You don't want anyone to put your child in a situation where, because he's biracial, they're not watching him, and, he burns himself or he falls or something happens. So you definitely want your child in a safe and loving environment, and definitely, teach your child about both cultures, not only the white half, but the black half. Have him around positive people from both races, and let him know, reinforce that there's nothing wrong with him being biracial. There's nothing wrong with him coming from two different cultures. You know what I'm saying? But always reinforce to him that you love him, that you're his mom, and that you wouldn't change who he was for anybody. Reinforce that to him. You need to start instilling in him now at the age of 2 to be proud of who he is, to be proud of his skin tone, to be proud of his heritage, and to not, let anyone pin him in a box or make him feel less than. You know what I'm saying? He's not no better or no less than anyone else's child. So start reinforcing that now while he's 2. And by the time he starts school, when people try and pick on him for being mixed, or, go to him and say, well, what are you mixed with? He'll know how to handle that. You know, but again, yeah, I would leave the family. I would have to kick back from them. So to my other subscribers watching the video, leave a comment. Let her know what you guys feel like she should do. You know, if you guys have any tips or advice for her, definitely let her know. So I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.